On July 4th, 1776, representatives of the 13 American colonies officially approved the document that announced the severing of ties with Britain. The Continental Congress issued the Declaration of Independence in several forms, and the most famous is the signed copy on display here in Washington at the National Archives.
And I was there to see the Declaration and talked about its unique history with archivist and historian Michael Hussey. We spoke in the Archives Rotunda for the Charters of Freedom, where the Declaration and other documents are housed. Why is it so dark here?
It's dark in here because light fades documents, and we're all about preserving documents so that if by some magic we could come back here in 100 years, we would still be able to read these documents. So we keep the light at a very low level. Your eyes adjust eventually, but it's a low level, and a constant temperature and a constant humidity level, because parchment in particular does not like changes in temperature, humidity, or light.
And right behind us is a Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
That is something unique. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's one of the highlights of my job here, actually, that I get to see it every day. It's a document that millions of Americans have seen over the years. Even in its very earliest years, Americans wanted to see this, what some people have referred to as the birth certificate of the United States. In this document, you have all of the specific reasons that the colonists wanted to break from England. They'd had enough of certain things. But you also have this beautiful soaring rhetoric about unalienable rights of all men who are created equal to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Amazing words, which Thomas Jefferson and a committee of four other people, including Benjamin Franklin and John Adams, wrote.
So how do you preserve documents here?
Yeah, well, in this case, in our holdings, we have somewhere above 12 billion documents, and all of them are precious to us. These documents here in the Rotunda, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, get a little bit of extra preservation treatment. They're in specially constructed, state-of-the-art cases that contain no oxygen whatsoever. They contain argon gas, which doesn't interact chemically with the documents. Again, the light in here is kept very low. These cases that they're in are sealed airtight, so that, again, no oxygen can get in there. All of the materials and the engineering is absolute state-of-the-art.
This is the document that was signed by the founding father. This is the original document.
This is the original document signed by the founding father, or at least those founding fathers who were in Philadelphia at the Second Continental Congress in 1776.
What do you think would be the value of this document?
I couldn't even put a dollar amount on it. It's so valuable. It founded our country. It set our ideals as a nation. Not that we have always lived up to them. You know, to look back on it, all men are created equal is one of the key phrases of the document, and yet we, as a people, we owned slaves at the time.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
What would be the most unique fun fact that our audience are not familiar with, you think, about the Declaration of Independence?
Well, I think what occurs to me is that most people think Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence from start to finish. And he certainly was the key author, but it was a committee of 5 men who wrote it. And, you know, John Adams and Benjamin Franklin did some minor editing. What I find somewhat humorous is that once Jefferson then presented it to the full Continental Congress, they did what nowadays we would call cut and paste. I mean, they were really heavily editing it. They left many parts of it alone. And Jefferson's reaction to that was just outrage that they had mangled his masterpiece. So I often think of Jefferson sitting there in Independence Hall just kind of steaming as his work is being edited. I think it turned out very well, but he had sort of some authorial, as an author, he wanted it to be just the way he wanted it.
Did it come back to the original form, or finally he settled with the changes?
He settled with the changes,
okay.
and he signed it, but he was never happy with the changes that were made with it. I was happy enough, but never happy.
But that speaks volumes about how this country functions, that there are different people coming together with different ideas and then coming to a mutual ground where they can decide what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this document, they just didn't come in one day and say, let's do it and just draft something and we'll sign it. It wasn't that at all. There was days and days and months of debate. Some didn't agree with having any declaration of independence. They wanted to maintain some connection to Great Britain. So yes, you're absolutely right. That bringing the rough draft back to Congress and having it being debated and pulled apart and every word kind of analyzed takes some time. It's not always pleasant, particularly if you're someone like Jefferson. But you're right. It very much was a group statement. It was a statement of a people, even though written mostly by one person.
And we want to thank archivist and historian Michael Hussey for that great conversation. And Alex, here's another fun fact, which people might not know. The term Declaration of Independence is how we refer to it, but it's not actually used in the document itself.
Very interesting.